Hi everyone, this is Santosh Kumar DK, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Canara Engineering College, Mangaluru. I am going to discuss Computer Organization course with subject code 18CS34. In this course, we'll study the organization of the digital computer, the peripheral connections, memory organization, and also the little bit discussion about ALU and CU working. The study material regarding this course is available on the given website. Hi, in this video, we will discuss Module 3 Memory System. We have already discussed basic concepts, semiconductor RAM memories. In this video, we will discuss read-only memories and speed, size, and cost. First, we will see the drawback of random access memory. Random access memory is volatile in nature, which is having two types, that is the dynamic RAMs, which is based on a single transistor. It cannot retain the state of the data for a long time. So what we have to do is we have to periodically refresh the data, and the content might be refreshed while accessing them for reading. This may affect in the losing the data. Cost is less compared to SRAM, but it is slower. Coming to SRAM, static RAM, it is dual it's going to use dual transistor, and it's going to retain the state until unless the power is applied, but it cannot retain for a long time if it is power is also not applied, because it's a volatile in nature. So the access time of the SRAM is higher compared to DRAM, and it is costly because it's using dual transistor. But there might be a need where we need a semiconductor memory where we have to keep the data always, whether irrespective of whether the power is connected or not. So for such cases, the RAMs are not the solution. There might be a situation where we have to store the data for a long time, we are going to store the tiny OS called BIOS, basic input output system. So that will be always there in our motherboard, where which the job of that is to check initially whether all the initial required peripheral devices are working or not by using the post signal. But this cannot be possible when we are storing the data on the RAM. For that, we need a permanent storage with the help of semiconductor device. That is possible with the help of read-only memory. Here we can see a logical diagram of ROM cell. A logic value 0 is stored in this cell if the transistor is connected to the ground point P. If the transistor is connected to the ground point P, then we will be storing the logical value. Otherwise, a 1 will be stored. When it is ground, the value of the voltage will be dropped, so it is going to store 0. If it is not grounded, then of course the voltage retained in the transistor, then it's going to be having a value 1. The bit line connected through the register is through power supply. To read the state of the cell, the word line is activated. The word line is activated, thus the transistor switch is closed and the voltage on the bit line drops to near 0 if there is a connection between the transistor and the ground. If there is no connection to the ground, the bit line remains at the high voltage, indicating it is 1. ROM. We have seen this type of chip in the motherboard, that is a ROM, which is going to hold the BIOS in the motherboard of the computer. The BIOS job I have already explained in the previous video. So next, under the ROM, we are having programmable ROM. The programmable ROM job is to allow the user to program it. Some ROMs design allows the data to be loaded by the user, thus providing a programmable ROM programmatically is achieving by inserting a fuse at the point P. In the previous diagram I have shown there is a point P which is going to grounded. At that place we are going to add a fuse before it is programmed. The memory contains by default all the memories in the PROM is having zeros. Thus the user can insert ones at the required location. At the required location user can insert the ones by burning out the fuse. The fuse whatever we connected at the point of P, we can burn out for the required location and we can insert the ones at the given position. By this can be done by the high current pulses, and once it is done it is irreversible. The once we are going to burn the data into the PROM, it is irreversible. PROM provides a flexibility and convenience not too available with the RAM. So ROM was having a issue with only once we write and we will not be allowed to modify. That even that written whatever it's going to be written inside that is not under the control of programmer, that is under the control of manufacturer. So but here PROM will allows us to write what the programmer want, but it is irreversible once it is done. But these tasks are expensive once we do the mistake. That's why we are having some solution with the EPROM. This is another type of the ROM which allows to store the data to be erased and new data to be loaded. Such an erasable reprogrammable ROM is usually called as EPROM. It provides considerable flexibility during the development phase of a digital system, since EPROM are capable of retaining the stored information for a long time. They can be used in place of ROM while software is being developed. In this way, memory change and updated can be easily made. Whatever if we are developing an operating system, if we are using the EPROM, then it's good, because every time when we are developing, we are coming with multiple versions. So when we are coming with multiple versions, then we can add the new version to the ROM, EPROM, rather than we can avoid the disadvantage of PROM and ROM. An EPROM cell has a structure similar to ROM. In an EPROM cell, however, the connection is to grounded is always made at the point P, and special transistor is used which has the ability to function either as a normal transistor or as a disabled transistor. That is always turned off. The transistor is always turned off. This transistor can be programmed to behave as permanently open switch by injecting a charge into that becomes a trapped inside. Thus, EPROM cell can be used to construct a memory in the same way as the previously discussed ROM cell. The important advantage of EPROM chip is that there is a content that can be erased and reprogrammed. This is the major advantage of EPROM. This can be done. This erasing and adding the data can be done with the help of ultraviolet light. The disadvantage with the EPROM is what it is going to do is when we are reading and writing the data, so performing the writing operation again and again, we have to remove the cell from the board, and then we can perform the erasing and rewriting the data to the EPROM cell. So this is the disadvantage. This disadvantage of removing the cell physically, chip physically, then the circuit will be programmed. This entire content erased by a ultraviolet light. It is possible to implement another version of the erasable programmable ROM that can be both programmed and erased electrically. So we are coming with the next version, that is electrically it can be erased. Such chips we call it as a electrically erasable programmable ROM. They do not have to be removed for ensuring data writing and all. Moreover, it is possible to erase the cell content selectively. So there in the previous case we have to erase the complete cell. Here we can erase the cell selectively. Whichever the cell inside the chip we want, we can erase it. The only disadvantage of the EPROM is that different voltages are needed to be are required for erasing and writing and reading and storing the data. It demands a different varieties of voltage. For PROM and for EPROM, we don't need a different voltages, especially with respect to EPROM. We need only ultraviolet light to write the data. But when it comes to EEPROM, we need different voltages for read, write, store, and retrieve the data. Next, we have flash memory. The flash memory is working with the same approach of EEPROM, but a flash cell is based on a single transistor controlled by a trapped charge, just like a EEPROM cell. While similar in some respect, there are also some substantial difference between the EEPROM and the flash memory. In EEPROM, it is possible to read and write the content of a single cell. In flash device, it is possible to read the content of a single cell, but only possible to write the entire block of the cell. Prior to writing, the previous content of the block are erased. Flash devices have greater density, which leads to the higher capacity and lower cost per bit. The required a single power supply voltage and consumes less power in the operation. The lower power consumption of the flash memory makes it attractive for the use in portable equipments like mobile and battery devices, especially MP3 players and all. Single flash chip do not provide a sufficient storage capacity for the application. So larger memory module consisting of number of chips are needed. Therefore, there are two types of popular chips which are available in the market. One is flash card, one more is flash drive. The flash card is a one consisting of large module of memory is mount flash chips on a small card. Such flash cards have a standard interface that makes them usable in variety of the product. A card is simple plugged into the conveniently accessible slot. Flash cards comes with the size typically 8, 32, 64 megabytes now in terms of gigabytes now. Flash drives. The larger flash drives memory module have been developed to replace the hard disk drives right now. We have used flash drives, so they are going to replace the hard disk because flash drives are huge in size. The fact that flash drives are solid state electronic device which we are calling as SSD hard disk. These are the flash drives. So these are the fastest compared to our hard drives. The disadvantage of the flash drive with respect to hard disk is their capacity cost per bit. If you are going to buy a SSD hard disk, that is too costly compared to our regular hard disk. If it is a 512 GB SSD hard disk, it will cost around some 6,000 odd right now. If it compares to 2 TB hard disk, which will cost hardly 4,000. So this is the major difference with respect to cost. But with respect to speed, flash drives are too fast. Next, we'll see speed, cost, and size. Static RAMs are fast, but they are expensive. Dynamic RAMs are little slow compared to static RAMs, but they are not as expensive as like static RAMs. And magnetic disks, which we call it as a hard disk. They are not as cost as dynamic RAMs and static RAMs, but they are cheaper. But when it comes to magnetic disks, they are huge in size. So this is the memory hierarchy, which is going to tell how many layers of memories we are going to use in the computer. We'll be having a processor. We have seen in the first module, processor will be having many registers like MER, MDR, PC, IR, general purpose register, R0 to RN. All these registers are used for storing the temporary storage and like storing the address, storing the data, storing the operands. And after that, they are small in size. If you want little more support, so processor will be having a level 1 cache for example, right now i9 processor with the 10th generation, which is having a L1 cache of 20 MB, 20 MB smart cache it is going to have. And after that, it's some processor will be having level 2 cache, some processor will be having L3 cache. So these cache, how they are going to be used, I have discussed in the first video. So what is the job of the cache? It is going to speed up the process from main memory access to processor task. And you can notice that way I'm moving towards down, the size of the memory is getting increased. Registers are in terms of bytes and words. This is in terms of MB. This is in terms of again MB in more, and this is in terms of GB right now. And when it comes to magnetic, it is in terms of TB. But when it comes to moving from lower to upper, the speed is increased. The speed is highly increased. Magnetic disks, the drives are very slow compared to main memory. Main memory is slow compared to cache L1, L2, and these caches are slower than registers. But when it comes to the cost, whenever we are going for a high memory, we are paying for more. This is the memory hierarchy where we have shown all the levels with respect to size, with respect to speed, and with respect to cost. And this is the textbook I have used to explain this complete topic. Thank you.